Good afternoon, everyone. My name is Chris Kelly. I'm an attorney with the law firm of Gian-Grasso, Tomczak, and Hufe. I'm joined today with Daniel, who's going to be interpreting for me. Thank you, Daniel. So we do these Facebook Live posts every Friday to give you guys sort of an update on what's going on in the world of immigration. These videos are informational only and should not be construed as legal advice. First up, I want to talk a little bit about sanctuary cities, which were in the news a lot during the Trump presidency. This week, it was announced that the U.S. Justice Department is no longer going to restrict funding of local police departments in sanctuary cities. Now, during the Trump administration, in order to get local cities to cooperate more with immigration authorities, the Department of Justice had restricted a lot of funding for law enforcement from those cities that were no longer cooperating with immigration enforcement. What the Biden administration has announced in the last week is that they're no longer going to withhold money from cities that do not detain people for immigration or otherwise cooperate in sharing information with immigration authorities. Hopefully this will encourage even more towns and cities to no longer share information with immigration or when somebody is being held following an arrest by the police to no longer detain that person for longer than normal in order to basically hand them off to immigration after immigration requests that they continue to detain the person until that person can be picked up by immigration authorities. And just generally speaking, I think this is a good development because it separates the enforcement of criminal law on the local level from federal immigration enforcement and really keeps those two things separate in a way that is beneficial for local communities. The Biden administration announced this week that 4 families who had previously been separated during the Trump administration were being reunited. And what's sort of notable about this announcement in particular is that these were families where the parents had actually been deported after they were separated from their children. And what the Department of Homeland Security under President Biden has started to do is to bring these parents back into the US so that they can be reunited with their children. Additionally, there's also been the introduction in the last month of a bill in Congress by Congress people Joaquin Castro and Richard Blumenthal. And what this bill would do would provide a pathway to citizenship for those families who had been separated under the prior administration. So this bill has been introduced. That doesn't mean that it's a law yet. It's going to be very challenging to pass this law, like really any immigration law. But I think the thing to recognize is at least it's an indication by the government that there needs to be something done to really help those families who were separated in the last few years. So it's really hard to say whether there will in fact be a pathway to legal status ever specifically for those families, but bills like this being introduced are promising regardless. And then lastly, the Biden administration announced this week, excuse me, that they're planning to revive a program that had begun at the end of the Obama administration that would permit entrepreneurs, really what we're talking about are business people who intended to come to the United States to start companies that would make, I think it's at least $250,000 in capital, or would bring $250,000 worth of investment to the United States and would be capable of hiring a certain number of workers and meet certain other benchmarks. I think this is just an example of how the new government under President Biden is once again sort of using immigration policy to try to attract foreign business, as well as invite people who are interested in starting new companies into the United States, in the hopes that these companies, eventually provide employment opportunities to people here in the United States, and really, invest in the local communities. So that does it for this week. Thanks for tuning in. If you have questions of your own about your own situation, or just general immigration questions, please feel free to reach out to us through our Facebook page. Our contact information is on there. You can schedule a consultation at any time. So thanks for tuning in, and we'll see you next week.